Business and Society 101, An Introduction to Key Concepts. Introduction. Why the business-society relationship matters. Businesses are not isolated entities. They operate within and influence a larger social, political, and environmental context. The study of business and society focuses on the complex relationship between corporations and the communities, institutions, and ecosystems around them. This field explores how companies contribute to societal outcomes and how social expectations, in turn, influence business behavior. Whether considering a local manufacturer or a global technology firm, it is clear that businesses affect everything from employment and public health to cultural values and environmental conditions. Understanding this interdependence is critical for anyone seeking to engage with the modern economy in a meaningful and responsible way. The expanding role of business in society. For much of the 20th century, the primary role of business was defined in narrow economic terms. Companies were expected to maximize financial returns for their owners or shareholders. Over time, this perspective has shifted. Today, society expects businesses to go beyond generating profits. Companies are called upon to create quality jobs, protect the environment, foster diversity and inclusion, and contribute to broader community well-being. For example, technology firms may be praised for connecting the world through innovation, but they are also held accountable for issues like digital addiction, misinformation, and privacy concerns. Similarly, a food retailer may support local farmers and donate to food banks while also being criticized for contributing to unhealthy diets. These examples show how business goals and social values are now more tightly linked than ever. Corporate social responsibility and strategic impact. In this part, we will explore how corporate social responsibility shapes not just reputation, but results. When aligned with strategy, CSR can drive meaningful change, strengthening communities, building trust, and giving firms a competitive edge. Understanding this intersection reveals how doing good can also mean doing well. Corporate social responsibility, often referred to as CSR, captures the idea that businesses have a duty to address their social and environmental impacts. CSR involves voluntary efforts by companies to act ethically and contribute to societal well-being. These actions might include improving labor conditions, reducing emissions, supporting education, or investing in community development. For instance, a global coffee company might ensure ethical sourcing of its beans through partnerships with fair trade cooperatives. A major retailer could commit to renewable energy across its stores. While some critics argue that CSR efforts are primarily public relations tools, others believe they represent an important shift toward more accountable and values-driven business. Many companies now incorporate CSR into their core strategies, aligning social responsibility with long-term financial success. Stakeholder theory and broader accountability. This approach focuses on the broader accountability of organizations, considers the interests of all stakeholders rather than just shareholders, and emphasizes ethical considerations in decision-making. One of the most influential developments in business ethics is stakeholder theory. This approach challenges the idea that businesses are responsible only to their shareholders. Instead, it argues that companies have duties to all parties affected by their decisions. These include employees, customers, suppliers, local communities, and even future generations. For example, when an automotive firm considers closing a factory, it must weigh the interests of workers, local economies, shareholders, and supply chain partners. Businesses that recognize the importance of multiple stakeholders often make more balanced and sustainable decisions. The stakeholder model encourages firms to build relationships based on trust, transparency, and mutual benefit rather than focusing narrowly on profit. Ethical decision-making in business practice. Ethical conduct is the foundation of trust in business. It guides decisions, builds reputation, and fosters long-term success. When ethics are upheld, companies earn the confidence of employees, customers, and society. But when ethics are ignored, the consequences can be severe: damaged credibility, legal penalties, lost business, and broken stakeholder relationships. Acting ethically isn't optional, it's essential. Every business faces ethical dilemmas, and these decisions often go beyond what the law requires. Ethics in business involves asking difficult questions about fairness, harm, honesty, and responsibility. Should a pharmaceutical company raise the price of life-saving medication if it places it out of reach for patients? Can a data platform justify collecting personal information in ways that users do not fully understand? These examples highlight the tension between profit and principle. Ethical business practices are guided by values such as respect, integrity, and justice. Some leaders apply ethical theories such as duty-based reasoning or outcome-based reasoning to guide their choices. More broadly, building an ethical organizational culture requires education, leadership, and systems that support doing the right thing, even when it is not the most profitable option. Environmental responsibility and sustainable innovation, minimizing environmental impact, promoting sustainable practices, and investing in eco-friendly technologies are key steps toward building a more sustainable and responsible organization. Businesses play a critical role in addressing environmental challenges, particularly those related to climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. Sustainability in business means operating in ways that meet present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. This involves reducing carbon footprints, conserving natural resources, minimizing waste, and investing in cleaner technologies. For example, a logistics company may shift its fleet to electric vehicles to lower emissions. A clothing manufacturer might eliminate harmful dyes and use recycled fabrics. These efforts are not just about compliance. They reflect a growing recognition that environmental stewardship can lead to innovation, customer loyalty, and long-term resilience. In many industries, sustainability has moved from a peripheral concern to a strategic priority. Government, regulation, and the role of public policy. Regulation shapes the rules of the game in business. It sets standards for fair competition, protects consumers, and ensures accountability. Public policy plays a key role by defining these regulations and aligning business practices with broader societal goals. For companies, understanding and adapting to policy changes is not just compliance, it's strategic. Navigating this landscape well can open new opportunities and prevent costly missteps. Governments shape the relationship between business and society through laws, regulations, and economic incentives. Regulations ensure that companies uphold standards related to worker safety, consumer protection, environmental care, and financial transparency. After the global financial crisis, for instance, many countries implemented stricter rules to improve the oversight of banking institutions. At the same time, businesses attempt to influence public policy through lobbying, advocacy, and strategic partnerships. This raises important questions about corporate influence and democratic accountability. Some firms use their influence to resist regulations, while others support policies that align with their social or environmental commitments. For example, renewable energy companies may advocate for climate legislation that promotes clean technologies. The interaction between business and government is both cooperative and contested, shaping the conditions under which companies operate. The power of social movements and civil society. Nonprofit organizations, activist groups, and concerned citizens often play a vital role in holding companies accountable. Social movements expose unethical behavior, demand transparency, and push companies to address issues such as labor rights, racial equity, and gender discrimination. In the era of social media, a single campaign can reach millions of people and force rapid corporate response. After public backlash over labor conditions in overseas factories, several apparel brands restructured their supply chains to improve safety and fairness. Similarly, companies have faced pressure to diversify leadership, reduce plastic waste, or stop advertising on platforms that spread misinformation. The rise of social activism means that companies must be responsive to changing norms and expectations. Reputational risk is now a powerful force driving corporate behavior. Globalization, culture, and ethical complexity. Globalization has heightened the importance of culture and ethics in business, making cultural sensitivity essential for effective international operations and raising complex ethical dilemmas in global trade. As companies expand internationally, They encounter diverse legal systems, cultural traditions, and social values. This global reach brings both opportunity and responsibility. Business practices acceptable in one region may be inappropriate or even harmful in another. For example, a company sourcing materials from a country with weak labor protections may face criticism from consumers and advocacy groups in more regulated markets. Navigating these challenges requires cultural awareness, ethical sensitivity, and a commitment to universal human rights. Firms must decide whether to adopt consistent global standards or adapt to local conditions. Either choice involves trade offs, and the wrong decision can lead to reputational damage or social conflict. Responsible global business leaders must be equipped to understand and manage these complexities thoughtfully and ethically. The future of business and society, creating shared value. Creating shared value focuses on identifying and expanding the connections between societal and economic progress. It's not just about philanthropy, but about creating economic value in a way that also creates value for society by addressing its needs and challenges. As the challenges of the 21st century intensify, the expectations placed on businesses continue to grow. Concerns about artificial intelligence, economic inequality, digital privacy, and climate resilience are reshaping how firms define their role in the world. Many leading thinkers argue that the future lies in creating shared value. This means designing business models that generate economic benefits while also addressing pressing social problems. Companies might develop affordable healthcare solutions, invest in inclusive education, or partner with local communities to support sustainable agriculture. These approaches do not treat social impact as a charitable extra, but as an integral part of long-term business success. The path forward will require innovation, leadership, and a renewed understanding of what it means to be a responsible organization. Business and society are not separate spheres. They are deeply connected, and their futures are intertwined. Stay tuned for more insights into business and the social sciences. If you found this overview helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on future topics you'd like us to cover. I'm Dr. Dog, wishing you a fantastic day ahead.